Hey folks, it's that time. It's our oil and gas predictions for 2018. We've done this since 2014, and we went back and looked, and we're about a 75% success ratio, which is actually pretty good, considering we aren't professional analysts. But we do get this information from our clients and the research we do all year long. So ready? Number one, online searches. Up until recently, it didn't matter if your company made 1-inch ball valves if you showed up on Google if somebody typed in 1-inch ball valves. Surprisingly, we've done the research, and from 2014 to the end of 2016, online supply chain searches in oil and gas globally have grown 1,700%. That's right, 1,700%. Why? The old guy in the warehouse that knew where the 1-inch ball valves were, he didn't go online to look for that, right? If his boss told him to get some, he had vendor A, B, and C, because he's played golf with them for 20 years, went out drinking, dinner, hunting, fishing, and so he knew where to get the ball valves. And if for some reason his vendors couldn't supply him, he had a stack of paper catalogs he would look through. He's gone, right? He's taken a package, he's retired. The new young person around the school that took his job, when his boss says, get me 1-inch ball valves, first thing he does is Google it, right? If your company doesn't have a strategy to show up in organic searches for whatever your company does, whether it's a process, it's a service, it's parts, whatever, if you don't show up for that, it's going to start hurting your business now, and you're going to lose your business moving in the future. I know several large, and I mean really large, oil and gas service companies that are aware of this, and they're working on it right now. Now the cool thing is, if you're a small company, you can pull ahead of these larger companies. If you go online right now and search for oil and gas sales experts, you'll see me, Modalpoint, dominate these huge multi-billion-dollar companies because we understand the importance of this. If you want to see something really cool, go search for oil and gas speaker and see who comes up number one. All right, so that's the first one. Online searches are huge. Number two, this new younger workforce. They act and think differently. We talked about number one. This new younger workforce is coming in, and they're going to expect consumer grade technology. No matter how well you treat them, no matter what type of path to future success they have, they're not going to work for your company for 20 or 30 years because they want different experiences. The paycheck isn't enough for them, right? They want to make a difference, and they want to understand what's going on, right? So this new younger workforce is coming in, and it's coming in very fast. Right now, about 33% of the oil and gas workforce here in Europe are under the age of 35. In 5 years, this could be 70%. You have no choice, right? They're coming. That's who's going to run our industry. You got to get used to it, but that's one of our oil and gas predictions for 2018. And then everybody's going to think I'm crazy. Remember, last year I called the inflation on land at the very end of 2017, which is going on right now, so we got that one right. So number three, labor shortage. Yeah, I know we've had a bunch of layoffs in the industry, especially upstream in the service companies, but we're facing a labor shortage, both skilled labor, unskilled labor, a managerial, project managers, engineers. There's simply not enough young people going to school for any of this sort of stuff to supply the need that we have. So one of two things are going to happen. You can see a price war breakout, which is never good for the industry, or as an industry, we're going to have to look at ways of doing our business with less people. And that's an interesting way to go. We think there's going to be a technology play there, but we have to keep an eye on that. So number three is labor shortages. Number four for oil and gas predictions for 2018, changing buyer behavior. If you've been in sales in oil and gas, right, you always knew the decision maker. He doesn't exist anymore. This is now a decision-making team. And what used to be a linear track from discovery to close is now all convoluted because of all the different decisions that have to be made by different groups, different people. If you're a sales and marketing organization and you don't understand how that's changing, you're going to get left behind. So changing buyer behavior is number four. Then, number five, we've hit the valley of negative public perception. We think 2018, the public perception of oil and gas, which is not good right now. It's interesting. So of the millennials, about 13% have a positive, think about the oil and gas in a positive way. The Generation Z, the one right behind them, it's a negative 3.5%. Come on, people, as an industry, we have to change that. You know, we have several oil and gas podcasts, and that's our mission on the podcast, is helping change the young people in the world's opinion of this great industry, right? So, but we think in 2018, we're gonna hit the bottom of that negative public perception, so we will start coming up. We're starting to finally understand how to use social media. The world at large understands the prosperity that we bring when we bring cheap, abundant, reliable energy. So we think that's the oil and gas prediction for 2018. Then, new business models. Come on, Schlumberger is now an operator. You have pipeline companies that are actually stand-up ethylene crackers. The world of oil and gas is changing, and there's this new business model that companies are trying. If you think about Schlumberger forming joint ventures with NOCs, they're doing that to test the waters, right? They do that all the time. And once they get it figured out, then they'll go full blown, they'll be an operator. Imagine Schlumberger as an operator. Number one, they can sell their services at cutthroat prices, which reduces the overhead of those wells, which means they can make money where anybody else can't. Or, right, they can keep their services the same, but make sure they provide them on time and help that operator, which would be Schlumberger, actually produce oil in a more economical way. Either way, they win. So they're mitigating their risk by becoming an operator. That is really cool. And like I said, there's a whole bunch of different models being tried, and this is something new for oil and gas in 2018. Then, finally, number 7. We're having confidence in the upstream sector, right? Prices are still low. Prices are going to stay relatively low forever, right? The $50 to $65 price range. But we've driven so many efficiencies out of the system that we now are comfortable like that. So investors, upstream companies, the NOCs, the majors, the super majors, they're starting to spend money again in upstream. They're not going to do silly stuff, right? And land still rules, but you're seeing that confidence come back in upstream, which is good for everybody. Then, pay attention. Here in the U.S., we're getting ready to have a boom in midstream. Pipelines, tankers, rail, right? Look at all the pipelines being built in the Permian. Why? Because it drives efficiencies and it's safer for the environment, and it makes it a more predictable model. Not just to move the crude that you get out of the ground, but to remove around the fresh water you need, to move around the produced water, to move around natural gas. There's a whole renaissance of new pipelines being built in the U.S., and you need to get ahead of that and understand it, because it's number 8 oil and gas prediction for 2018. Then, NGL. Natural gas liquids. They're going to be huge. As we increase our production, the world has an appetite for NGLs. NGLs, things like butane, pentane, propane. We're producing the bejeebies out of it, and the world's buying it. We're making high margin. That stuff used to be almost thrown away. Now it's something we're making very healthy margins on, and NGLs are going to be a huge business boom in 2018. Now, I called this wrong in 2015. I'm going to call it again. I'll put my neck on the line. Number 10 for an oil and gas prediction 2018, mergers and acquisitions. I think the M&A activities will go through the roof in 2018. I think you can see large service companies combine to join forces. I think you can see a lot of independents combine. I think you can see companies that used to be thought of a technology company buying bits of oil and gas because they know they can make money on it. But I think the M&A activity for 2018 is going to be crazy, and that's just good for everybody. All right, so we just rattled off our 10 predictions for 2018. Can you do me a favor? If you found this valuable, if you found it useful, can you share this? Forward it to a friend, do the all company email, post it on Twitter or whatever. But this is our predictions for 2018. I hope you found it valuable. And like I said, we have the podcast. I'll put links in the show notes so you can go check those out. We have a bunch more in the works. We're literally building this oil and gas global network media superpower in oil and gas, and it's fun, and we're making a difference. So go check that out as well. So folks, I hope this helped. We will see you next time.